welcome everybody to my YouTube channel again. This is part 2. As you can see, I have a different guest today. This is Angela, otherwise known as Mamza, otherwise known as Auntie, alright? She's been there for me since the beginning. She's like co-team with my mom, so this is someone very close to me. Yeah, today we're just gonna be linking to the first video that I did on alpha male, alpha female. We've actually brought an alpha female into the video. Wow. So we can give you guys some perspective on what it is we're talking about, okay? So, without further ado, please say hi to the audience.
Hello.
She's okay.
Great to be here. So I don't know how I really feel about the term alpha female, because what happens is that when men are in touch with their feminine side or they're a bit caring, it's seen as a positive. It's actually quite nice, you know. He's so nice. Yeah. But when the female is more in touch with their masculine side, then they're termed aggressive, alpha. You know, it's almost that it has an almost negative connotation to it. Yeah.
That's true.
So I'm not so sure about how I feel about being called an alpha female.
Okay, well, I didn't realize, because I found naturally I would dim myself down to fit in certain places because you're too assertive. Everyone goes like, you know.
And that's what should never happen. I think it takes a long time. It has definitely taken me a long time to get to the point where I'm comfortable with who I am. And actually, if you feel threatened, then sorry.
Yeah, honestly.
Because you, as they say, you can't dim your light to make others shine. Yeah, you need to light another candle, not to dim yourself.
Not dim yourself to make the other one look better or seem equal.
You're actually not helping them because you're not lifting them up.
That's true.
You know, if you lift yourself up, you lift other people up with you as well.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Okay, let's forget about the term. But where have you seen being more assertive helping you out in terms of your career, or maybe family life, or just you as an individual?
Yeah. I think everywhere, because the reality is we live in a patriarchal society, and those connotations of assertiveness being a sign of authority are there in society, whether we like it or not, and that's for both male and female. You know, I'm not pointing fingers to anyone. I'm just saying generally that's how we are, that's how we've been socialized, and that's how we think. So you will find that if you're more assertive, if you go for what you want, even in the corporate world, you'll rise faster than somebody who is in the background or pulling their caring, nurturing side to the fore. And it's not that one or the other is better. I think it's just that it's a patriarchal society, and so those qualities are seen as leadership qualities. If we define leadership qualities, we always define them from that perspective. So people who are more assertive will be seen as leadership material. People who are more assertive or who have a voice pull others. You know, they seem to know what they're doing, and so people will follow you because of that. So it's not just a leadership issue; it's also a followership issue. You know, those who are following are looking for those qualities. So it definitely has its place. I think the most important thing as a female is to not dim your female side, you know, your feminine side, your caring, your nurturing, because at the end of the day, I think we have different purpose as male and female in the world, and you will lose that purpose if you lose your feminine side. Yeah.
So in the beginning, you were saying that it is an innate sort of nature of someone to be, you know, leadership style and skills, be able to, you know, influence people in how they think and how they move. Do you think it's a quality that someone can be taught? Or it's something that if you're curious enough, you can learn how to be that type of person?
I think you can learn. And I think leadership is unique to each individual. So how people lead is different. There are some things that as a leader you must have. Firstly, you need to have a vision. You know, you need to know where you're going and what you want. You need to stand for something. You can't be somebody who has no opinion about things. You know, you have to have an opinion about something. But that's something somebody can learn. You know, I think as you're growing up as a young person, joining the corporate ladder, if I remember about my life, joining the corporate, well, I've always been a very outspoken person, so. But initially, I used to be shy to say my view, you know, because I wasn't so confident that what I know is enough to bring onto the table. And with time, I have learned to say my piece. I've learned to be comfortable when people don't agree with me, or when my opinion is critiqued. So I think with time you can learn leadership qualities. I think demeanor is something that has to be purposeful. I don't think it's easy, but I think it has to be purposeful if you want to be a leader. So I would say leadership qualities either come easy to somebody because they innately have it, or they have to learn, and then it doesn't come naturally, but you can learn it.
You can learn it. You can learn it. Okay, so you see, guys, you can learn it. Sometimes things do take time.
Yeah.
It takes experiences and situations for you to be able to see, okay, well, that didn't work for me, this worked for me, I need to change, I need to be okay with this type of thing. Okay.
And that's a great comment, the experience.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it, I don't think leadership is something you learn in a classroom. You need to go through the experience. You need to take the opportunities to lead. And as you take opportunities to lead, you mess up sometimes, and then you learn, and you next time you correct it. I think the most important quality you need to have is being comfortable with yourself, knowing that whether I mess up or I don't, it's all right. It's okay.
I'm still me.
Yeah, I'm still good. And sometimes you can mess up in a way that it costs you, and people then struggle to come back. But you always have to rise and take the next step, and that's how you learn leadership. You can't learn leadership in a classroom
So
or by watching. You actually have to participate.
You have to act out and do.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is people need to be okay with failure. Failure is an aspect of the growth.
Absolutely. And leader, as I said, anything that you learn by experience, you have to be happy to fail.
Yeah. There's nothing good comes without you tripping sometimes.
Yeah, it's like cooking. If you have never flopped a baking, or you've never had a meal turn out bad, then you've not practiced enough.
That's true. Yeah, because I've had some people, my friends sometimes go like, oh, I really want to do this, but I'm scared, what if it fails? But it's like, what if it fails?
Yeah, what if it fails?
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. I had somebody say they count their mistakes as lessons, so every time, I don't know whether it was Newton or somebody, I can't remember, who said he had tried so many times, but every time he failed, it was one more way not to do it. You learn one more way not to do it, and next time you do something different.
That's so much more of a positive outlook.
Yeah.
You just keep trying. It's okay.
Yeah.
At least I tried, and I'm progressing still.
Yeah.
That's cool. And in terms of making friends with other women, do you find it as a barrier, or does it help you in certain instances? Do you find yourself linking with other women who think exactly like you and it's easier, or do you guys clash?
Yeah, I think it's easier to link with women who are similar. And I think that's natural to any human being. You are drawn to people who are like you.
Yeah.
So the growth is not in being with people who are similar to you. I think the growth is in reaching out to those who are different from you. And that's where I find it difficult, and I'm sure anybody would find it difficult, because then you have to stretch yourself in ways that you're not used to. So I've grown my intuitive heart side through going through coaching, and that's why I actually trained as a coach, because I was very task focused, the headmaster kind of style, and I went through coaching to help me to connect with people easier. So that doesn't mean that I changed who I was, but it meant that I had some skills that I can use when I find myself in those situations where I need to connect with somebody at heart level, not at head level. So I still find it, I have to be conscious about it. It's not something that comes naturally to me. I just have to be conscious to remember to say to somebody, oh, hi, how are you doing today? And not a hi like you say the good morning in the morning without waiting for the answer. More around,
like morning.
Yeah, when you want to connect with somebody truly, it's something that I have to do consciously. And it's not that I don't care about people. I do actually. I love people.
But just sometimes you're thinking strategically about where you're putting your time and how you're interacting with certain people.
Yeah, I just get very involved in my tasks. People come second.
I hear you because I agree. Sometimes, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
And then in terms of motherhood, how has that helped you be a better parent?
Yeah.
Do you being headstrong, and also because you've got two boys who I love very dearly, my cousins. Because you're very headstrong, and because they are men, and you're also influencing the type of people that they would eventually, end up with. How do you think that has worked for you or not? Like, where do you see yourself in that equation?
Yeah. So I think God loves me and gave me boys, not
Okay.
girls.
Yeah.
Because I think it's what has helped me around with my character is I've always used integrity as my highest value. And integrity for me meant that I am who you see. Whether you find me at work or you find me at home, I'm the same person. And I'll say what I think. I have very few secrets. It's probably not a good thing, but I do have very few secrets. So I think for the boys, they get to have clarity as to where I stand, about any issue. I would be surprised if there's something that we've had along in life that they would come and say they're not so sure what I would think about it. I think if they were probably interviewed about who I am, they'd probably get me spot on in terms of, that's my mother, I know that's who she is.
I know, I do get those moments with them. They're just like, I know, that's my mom. That's my mom.
And I don't know whether it's an issue of being the alpha female, as you called it, but
it does play a bit into your character, though.
It does. So I'm not so sure whether that's it, or it's more because integrity is what I hold dearly.
Okay.
Or it's other things around it.
Okay.
I've never. One of the things I committed to as a mother was to never to tell a lie with my children. And I will be lying if I've never. I'm sure I have. But,
sometimes you need to play the negotiator to get things to work.
So, in fact, I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
One time I picked them from school, and they were still young when they used to come from school at 1:30, and I was dropping them home, and I skipped a light. And when I skipped the light, the cops were behind me, and so I just heard the siren.
Yeah.
And I stopped, and the two boys were at the back, and they asked me, "Why did you skip the light?" And the cops asked me, and I said, "The light was orange." And the cops were like, "We have 4 people behind there. Are you saying those 4 pairs of eyes were wrong?" And I said, "I don't know what the pairs saw, but I saw orange." And then I think the cops looked at the kids and they let me go. And immediately we drove off. I can't remember, one of them asked me, "Mom, why did you lie?" And I was so speechless and embarrassed for that matter. But those are things I avoided because I wanted to teach them integrity as well. I wanted to teach them that if you are who you are, irrespective of what the circumstances are around you. We do fail, and sometimes we'll tell a lie here and there, but the reality is that it's an easier life if you're always the same person and don't have to remember who you were yesterday. Yeah.
Because all those pairs of eyes and mouths, they hold record to everything you say to them, everything they hear about you,
And the reason I bring that up is because I think a lot of people who don't come out, and other than personality, a lot of people are held back by fear. And I think if you have integrity, and this is not a moral definition of integrity, I mean in terms of being the same, being coherent from a heart, head perspective, it's easier not to be afraid. It's easier to be courageous. And if you don't, then you will always be standing at the back because you're so scared of making a mistake, or you're so scared of what people will say, or whatever fear that sits behind it. So I think fear is the biggest barrier to us blooming as human beings.
It's good that you say that, because when I was doing my whole life coaching phase when I was working on my stuff, she always said a lot of people's fear comes from feeling and thinking that they're not enough. That you've said you're not enough, so that obviously affects how much money you think you're worth, how you think you should be in a relationship, who you think you deserve, how you should be as a parent, and all that stuff. And it's a fear a lot of people have, that I'm not enough. But I don't know, I don't have any more questions. questions. I think you've kind of wrapped the whole thing nicely. Alright. So guys, there we go. That was Mamzo joining us for part 2 of okay, we don't like the term, but since
you can use it.
But since that was a video, and also we're trying to understand what the word means for everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us in this video. Thank you so much, guys, for watching all the way to the end. You're a real one if you have. And yeah, leave down your comments. Let us know what you think and what other content you want to see during this quarantine and chill vibes time. All right? Check you in the next time.